The pain in my hip, a dull throb since the surgery, made the hospital bed a cage. I was 63, a frame once rigid with police discipline, now brittle. The fluorescent lights hummed a constant, low reminder of my dependence. My body, a tool for 35 years in city law enforcement, was now failing, betraying me. I looked at the ceiling, a cracked landscape of faded white, feeling the weary weight of a man with little left to lose. The phone vibrated on the nightstand, a harsh buzz against the silence. It was my lawyer, his voice a dry rustle. He spoke of a lawsuit, a stalking accusation. My name, Ed Anderson, was being dragged through the mud. Stalking. The word felt like a deliberate cruelty, a joke. I was here, anchored by surgical stitches and a regimen of pills. I could barely walk to the bathroom. How could I stalk anyone? The absurdity was a cold claw in my gut. This wasn't just about legal battles. I knew. It was about something far more insidious. Someone was twisting my reality. Then the photographs began to appear. Not just legal documents, but grainy images circulated online, seemingly showing me outside the complainant's apartment building. There were timestamps, dates that coincided precisely with my hospital stay. My face, unmistakably mine, caught in various poses. Then came the phone calls. Anonymous threats reported to the police. Eyewitnesses emerged, neighbors swearing they saw me lurking, sometimes at odd hours. Each new piece of evidence was a fresh wound, deep and psychological. How could I explain this? My identity, a lifetime of integrity, was being weaponized against me, rewritten by an unseen hand. It was a macabre theater, and I was the unwilling star, forced to watch as a distorted version of myself committed acts I was physically incapable of. The nurses, the doctors, even some of the junior police officers who visited, their eyes held a flicker of doubt, a subtle shift in their demeanor. The horror wasn't just the potential legal consequences. It was the terrifying realizations that people might actually believe this grotesque lies. My voice, my truth, seemed to disappear under the weight of these fabrications. My lawyer, a tenacious woman named Sarah Chen, sensed the depth of my despair. She understood this was more than a legal defense. This was an existential fight. She started digging, meticulously following every lead. The social media profiles she discovered were expertly crafted fakes, mimicking my online presence. The phone numbers used for the threats were spoofed, untraceable. But Sarah was good. She found a faint digital fingerprint, a commonality in the metadata across several of the fabricated posts, a location, a specific IP address in an obscure corner of the city. More importantly, she found a picture, a single, blurry image from a public CCTV feed, showing a man who looked exactly like me. The same height, build, even the way he carried his shoulders. The face was obscured, but the resemblance was chilling. It wasn't me. I knew that with every fiber of my being, but it was close enough to fool anyone who didn't know me intimately. Sarah understood. This wasn't a simple case of mistaken identity. This was a deliberate act of impersonations, a cruel game orchestrated by someone who knew me, or knew enough about me, to create a convincing doppelganger. The pieces were starting to fit, forming a picture far darker than I had initially imagined. The confrontation was staged in a stark conference room on the 25th floor of a downtown building. My lawyer, Sarah, sat beside me. Opposite us, the accuser, a woman named Clara Vance, looked pale and uncomfortable. Her lawyer, a smooth operator with a practiced air of concern, spoke first. He laid out their case, rehashing the photographs, the calls, the supposed eyewitness accounts. Sarah let him finish. Then she opened her briefcase. She didn't raise her voice. She presented the original IP logs, cross-referenced with the false social media profiles. The location data, irrefutable, pointing to a single source. She showed the blurry CCTV footage, then juxtaposed it with clear hospital records, proving my physical presence elsewhere. Then came the clincher, a second, much clearer photograph, unearthed from an overlooked public webcam. It was a man, indeed, my spitting image, but with one crucial detail, a birthmark on his left temple, visible only at a specific angle. I didn't have that birthmark. The man in the picture was Carter Vance, Clara's estranged brother. The realization hit Clara like a physical blow. Her face crumpled. "Carter," she whispered, her voice barely audible. He was trying to frame me too, to discredit my testimony against him in our own legal battles. The smooth lawyer, red-faced, began to stammer excuses. Sarah cut him off, her voice calm but firm. "The evidence," she stated, clearly pointed to a deliberate act of fraud and malicious intent, orchestrated by Carter Vance. The meeting ended quickly, not with a bang, but with the quiet, devastating realization of betrayal. The physical recovery was slow, a testament to the stubborn resilience of the human body. The shoulder wound ached less now. I began physical therapy, rebuilding strength, one painful repetition at a time. The legal fallout was just as gradual. Carter Vance faced charges. The stalking accusations against me were officially dropped. My reputation, though not entirely unscathed, began its long, slow process of repair. One afternoon, weeks later, my ex-wife, Eleanor, called. We hadn't spoken in years, not since the divorce. A quiet dissolution after decades of quiet distance. Her voice was hesitant, carefully neutral. She said she was sorry for what happened. She said she never truly believed the accusations. I simply listened. There was no grand reconciliation, no sudden outpouring of emotion, just a shared understanding of a difficult, unsettling truth. The conversation was brief, ending with the promise of a quiet dinner sometime. After I hung up, I looked out the window. The city spread out below, a vast, indifferent landscapes. Technology, I reflected, had amplified the lie, giving it a reach and a power that was terrifying. But technology had also provided the means to uncover it, leaving those faint, digital traces that Sarah Chen had so skillfully followed. My identity had been stolen, twisted, nearly destroyed. But in the end, truth, though sometimes delayed and hard-won, always leaves its mark. And human endurance, I learned, was not just about surviving physical pain, but about holding on to who you are, even when the world tries to convince you that you are someone else.